Come quietly or there will be trouble.
In a world full of point fighters and decision merchants, one man was built different. Cold, calculating, lethal. They don't call him Robocop because he looks like a machine. They call him that because every left hand feels like it was engineered in a weapons lab. Roberto Soldić. 90% finish rate, 17 knockouts, 2-division champion, and the only man alive who looked at a UFC contract and said no. He rejected the biggest stage in MMA, chose ONE Championship instead, and proved that sometimes the most dangerous fighters are the ones who write their own code. While other fighters beg for scraps from Dana White's table, Soldic calculated a different path, one where he controls the variables, sets the terms, and gets paid what he's worth. This is the story of the machine that refused to be programmed by anyone else. A systematic destroyer who turns elite fighters into system errors, one perfectly timed left cross at a time. The UFC thought they had all the best fighters. Soldic was about to prove that the most dangerous weapon is one that operates outside their system. So what makes this Croatian Terminator different from every other knockout artist? Let's run the diagnostics. First, the Southpaw Systematic Destruction Protocol. Watch how Soldic angles off the center line. That's not instinct, that's programming. Every step calculated to turn orthodox fighters into sitting targets. Against Boris Mankowski, notice how he uses that southpaw stance like a targeting system. Orthodox fighters train against southpaws maybe 10% of the time, so they're operating with incomplete software. Soldic exploits this blind spot ruthlessly. That lead right hand becomes a heat-seeking missile, but the setup is pure genius. 3 measuring jabs to download the opponent's defensive patterns. Then he steps off at a 45-degree angle and launches that cross like a guided missile down the pipe. Second, the counter-strike protocol. Other innings like animals, Soldic creates them like an architect. Against seasoned killers like Mamed Khalidov, he doesn't throw first. He programs opponents to throw first. Watch that finish against Khalidov. The veteran throws his trademark left hook, Soldic slips it by millimeters. We're talking Matrix-level precision here, and counters with the same hand while Khalidov's consciousness is still processing his own missed punch. That's not luck, that's systematic warfare. He reads their rhythm like code, identifies their favorite attack patterns, then times his counters to land in the dead space between their thoughts and their hands. By the time he hit the big leagues, Soldic had perfected this system through 6 straight knockouts, each one a masterclass in turning defensive reactions into offensive weapons. Europe's most dangerous export wasn't just ready to prove machines don't break. He was ready to show the world they upgrade in real time, learning from every exchange, storing every data point for future execution. KSW, Europe's premier testing ground for violence, where future UFC champions come to prove themselves before crossing the Atlantic. For 3 years, Boris Mankowski had ruled through pure wrestling dominance, choking out challengers and grinding them into submission with suffocating pressure. Then the machine arrived with a different operating system entirely. Watch this systematic breakdown. Soldic doesn't swing wild like some barroom brawler, he's running combat algorithms in real time. Step 1. Establish range with the jab. Not just throwing leather, but downloading Mankowski's defensive reactions, cataloging how he moves his head, where he keeps his hands. Step 2. Feint high to drop the guard. Watch how the champion's hands instinctively rise to protect his head, leaving that body exposed like an open door. Step 3. Deploy the left cross like a precision strike straight down the middle while Mankowski's hands are still protecting against the feint that never came. That's not fighting, that's combat engineering. Notice the footwork pattern. He's always moving at angles, never directly backward like most fighters when pressured. That southpaw stance creates natural counterpunching opportunities, geometric advantages that orthodox fighters can't solve in real time. And when Mankowski shoots for his bread-and-butter takedown, Soldic has already computed the counter sequence 3 moves ahead. The champion tries to close distance, but every step forward puts him deeper into the machine's kill zone where that left hand is waiting like a loaded weapon. Championship acquired through systematic dismantling. But every machine needs stress testing under maximum load conditions. Enter the ultimate beta test, Dricus du Plessis, future UFC middleweight champion, the kind of psychopath who trades bombs with a nuclear reactor and asks for seconds. This wasn't just a fight, this was a collision between 2 different combat operating systems, like watching Windows fight Linux in human form. April 2018. Watch how du Plessis solves the southpaw puzzle through pure violence. He doesn't respect the range, doesn't fear the power that's dropped 17 other men. Instead of fighting at Soldic's preferred distance where the left hand is lethal, he crashes the pocket, eliminates the space entirely, turns it into a phone booth war where technique gets messy and hearts decide outcomes. That hook counter that drops Soldic cold, that's the sound of one algorithm overpowering another, of du Plessis recognizing that Soldic's system relies on space to generate power and deciding to eliminate the space entirely through controlled chaos. System failure detected, error logged, repairs initiated immediately, time for version 2.0 with upgraded protocols. 6 months later, same cage, same opponent, but enhanced programming running through Soldic's neural networks. Notice the difference. Longer combinations instead of single power shots. Improved defensive protocols with better head movement and distance management. Enhanced energy management systems to avoid the first-round system overload that cost him the first fight. That liver shot sequence against du Plessis in the rematch, that's targeted systematic destruction at its finest. Three-piece combination executed with surgical precision. Jab to set up distance and timing. Downloading du Plessis' defensive patterns in real time. Right hook to the body to drop his guard and compromise his structural integrity. Then the left cross to terminate the sequence while du Plessis is still processing the body shot. Textbook mechanical violence. Du Plessis tries to crash the pocket again. Same strategy that worked before. But this time, Soldic is ready. He's programmed counters for the counterpuncher's counters, updated his defensive matrix to handle close-quarters chaos while maintaining his offensive capabilities. The machine had learned from its first system crash and emerged stronger, faster, more adaptable than before. Let's dissect the combat system that makes Robocop the most feared finisher in Europe. Because what you're watching isn't just knockout power. This is systematic dismantling of human combat systems, where every technique serves multiple purposes, and every position creates offensive opportunities. Layer 1. The Southpaw Advantage Exploitation Protocol. Orthodox fighters train against Southpaws maybe 10% of the time in most gyms, which means they're operating with incomplete combat software when they face Soldic. He doesn't just use this advantage, he weaponizes it ruthlessly. Watch how he uses the open stance to create natural angles that orthodox fighters can't solve in real time. Every exchange puts him in position for that money shot while simultaneously putting his opponent in the worst possible position to defend or counter. That lead right hand isn't just a setup punch, it's a guidance system for the left cross, measuring distance while disrupting the opponent's rhythm and creating the perfect entry angle for the kill shot. Layer 2. The pressure counter hybrid system that breaks conventional fighting logic. Most fighters are either pressure fighters or counter strikers, two completely different operating systems that require different mental programming. Soldic runs both programs simultaneously like dual-core processing. He walks you down like a Terminator with relentless forward pressure, but the moment you commit to offense to stop his advance, he's already 3 moves ahead, transforming your attack into his counter-attack opportunity. Against defensive fighters, he applies systematic pressure until they break and start swinging wild. Against aggressive fighters, he lets them come forward into his counter-striking kill zone. The genius is in the seamless transition. Watch how he flows from offense to defense and back to offense within the same combination, never fully committed to one mode, always adapting to what the situation demands. Layer 3. The energy management protocol that separates elite fighters from good ones. Watch his output across 5 rounds in the Khalidov fight. Other fighters fade as their systems overheat, but machines just switch to different power modes optimized for different phases of combat. Round 1. Explosive bursts to establish dominance and download opponent data. Round 3. Sustained pressure to break down defensive systems gradually. Round 5. Still hunting for the kill shot with the same precision and power as round 1 because his energy distribution system prevents the critical failures that plague human fighters. He never empties the tank completely in early rounds, always maintaining reserve power for late round termination sequences. Layer 4. The wrestling neutralization code that transforms defensive grappling into offensive striking opportunities. That judo background means takedown attempts become positional advantages rather than defensive scrambles. Watch against Khalidov. That sprawl into guillotine defense doesn't just prevent the takedown, it flows directly into striking combinations from the clinch position where Soldic can deploy dirty boxing techniques while maintaining distance control. Wrestling becomes just another position to deliver damage from, not a separate fighting discipline but integrated combat system where every defensive reaction creates offensive possibilities. The underhook control isn't just wrestling defense, it's offense. creating opportunities for uppercuts and short hooks while preventing the opponent from creating distance or changing levels effectively. Every fighter's dream scenario becomes reality. The UFC comes calling with contracts and promises. Dana White wants his signature on the dotted line. The red panties night awaits with all its glory. And Roberto Soldić hangs up the phone. Not serious financial terms, he said, while everyone else begs for UFC scraps and fights for peanuts. The machine calculated a different path entirely. Direction: Asia. Destination: ONE Championship. Mission parameters: prove he's worth more than crackers and exposure. While other fighters chase validation from the UFC matrix, Soldić wrote his own code. Because here's the thing about true machines: they don't chase approval, they create value. And in ONE Championship's global MMA playground, Soldić could operate across multiple weight classes, face world-class competition from every continent, and get compensated like the systematic destroyer he'd proven himself to be. The UFC thought they were the only game in town, the sole path to legitimacy in mixed martial arts. Soldić was about to prove them catastrophically wrong. Sometimes the most dangerous move isn't joining the system, it's building your own. New testing environment, different combat parameters. The ONE Championship ring operates under different physics. Smaller cage means less room to create angles, so Soldić upgrades his programming accordingly. Against high-level grapplers, the judo protocols become essential. That underhook control isn't just defense, it's offense, creating opportunities for dirty boxing, while every sprawl flows into counter-striking sequences. But system crashes happen. Sebastian Kadastam exploits a vulnerability with that lead elbow, perfectly timing Soldic's signature left cross entry. Error detected. System failure acknowledged. Rebuild initiated. Injuries force a year and a half offline for repairs and upgrades. February 2025. 1171. Sagid Arslanaliev represents the new generation. Explosive, well-rounded, dangerous. Watch this sequence. Soldić reads the level change like scanning code, times the counter with surgical precision, and deploys the left hand with 15 years of combat engineering compressed into one perfectly calculated impact. Arslanaliev's consciousness gets deleted by malware. $50,000 performance bonus. System fully operational. The machine didn't just survive the crash. It emerged stronger, faster, more lethal than ever, ready for championship-level stress testing. The numbers tell the story of systematic excellence. 21 wins, 90% finish rate, 17 knockouts. But statistics don't capture the technical evolution of a combat system that upgrades itself after every encounter. This machine doesn't just win fights through power. It systematically dismantles different fighting styles like a virus that adapts to every new defensive system it encounters. Pressure fighters get countered into unconsciousness. Counter-strikers get pressured until they break. Grapplers get sprawled on and hit with precision strikes, still optimizing his combat protocols. Every fight adds new subroutines to the system. Every training camp debugs existing programs and installs enhanced capabilities. This isn't just a knockout artist. This is a complete combat operating system that evolves, adapts, and destroys regardless of what style, strategy, or skill level it encounters. The machine's operational record isn't just impressive, it's terrifying in its consistency and precision. So here's the million-dollar question. Did Soldić make the right call rejecting the UFC, or should Dana White have opened his checkbook? Let me know in the comments below. And if you want more breakdowns of fighters who chose their own path over the obvious one, hit that subscribe button, because this machine isn't done hunting legends. Until next time, stay dangerous.